What's up, fuckers? Welcome to another edition of the Wake and Jake College Football Show. What a crazy fucking weekend of college football. Week 6 is officially in the books. A lot of teams are now halfway through the season. Before the weekend, this did not look like a great slate of games, and it ended up being one of the craziest weekends of college football. And that always tends to be the case. Whenever you see a weekend that just looks boring, nothing great, no good games, just keep your mind open. There's a good chance that it ends up being just an absolutely insane weekend, and that is and was the case this weekend. A lot to get into today. A lot. So let's just right off the bat get right into it, and let's get a little high. All right, before we get into the crazy games on Saturday, we do have to just touch on Friday night games. Houston 30, TCU 19. Crazy. Did not expect that because Houston is just trash. Not that TCU's world beater, but I did say that this game could be the game that Houston finally breaks their scoring drought. As you know, they have gone over 2 games now since their last touchdown, and the last 2 games they didn't even score any points. And, you know, TCU's defense is just absolute doo-doo. So kind of figured that Houston would at least score in this game just because of that. But TCU, your offense is usually not doo-doo, but you could not stop turning the ball over. And you cannot win games if you cannot hold on to the ball. Good for Houston. It hasn't been a good season for them. It's not going to continue to be a good season for them, but it is nice to see them get a win here. Just shocking game from TCU's offense. Oregon 31, Michigan State 10. I don't think anybody's really shocked by this result. Sure, you could say that Jonathan Smith has beaten Oregon in the past. He's got the recipe to beat them, but I just don't think he's got all the ingredients on his team to complete that recipe. Oregon was a little sloppy in the first half. Through 2 interceptions, they still managed to go into halftime up 21-0, and then they just kind of cruised to a victory. Didn't do too much. Didn't give away too much. Trying to just get through this game and get into next week against Ohio State. And they didn't do too much. They didn't have to do too much. They scored on 2 of their 3 second half drives. Like, yes, they only scored 10 points in the second half. They also didn't have the ball that many times. This game was just never in doubt. Michigan State never had a chance. Oregon cruises to an easy win. Looking forward to that game next weekend. Let's see here. Syracuse 44, UNLV 41. In overtime, Cuse pulls out the win. This UNLV team is fun. There was a lot of drama a couple weeks ago with Sluka deciding that he was going to redshirt the rest of the season and transfer out. And then you started hearing reports that UNLV wasn't really that upset to lose him. Sounds like it was a close quarterback battle anyways going into camp. And I think there's some players like Ricky White who are pumped that this change was made. He has gone off since Sluka has decided to step away. Now, they weren't really throwing the ball a whole lot when Sluka was the quarterback. They were a run-first team. But Ricky White, that guy is good. Blocked a punt, had a receiving touchdown. I think that is someone who has been thriving since Sluka decided to leave. Syracuse is lucky to have won this game. They really should not have. Their special teams almost completely fucked them this game. Their punting coverage, not even coverage necessarily, protection, needs help. They botched a punt, giving UNLV a very, very short field. It was a huge momentum swing in that game in the first half there. It wasn't even blocked. It would have been blocked. Ended up tackling the punter as he tried to get away. Just absolute shit show. And then later in the game, blocked a punt that flew way into the end zone and was recovered by UNLV for a touchdown. I mean, Syracuse was just asking to lose this game, and they're lucky they won. And also, Kyle McCord threw the ball 63 times, which is an absolute crazy number. Wild game, fun game to watch, especially if you like crazy, random special teams fuck-ups. Syracuse gave you a couple of them. Friday night games, not that there's like one exciting game, Nothing too crazy otherwise. But Saturday, man. Saturday was insane. We'll start with the noon games. Penn State, UCLA. Penn State wins 27-11. I was shocked a little bit. It felt like Penn State was just, we're going to win this game regardless. We're not going to do too much. Because UCLA has allowed 35 points in the first quarter this year, which is the worst in the Big Ten, and Penn State did not score once in that first quarter. Again, I don't think Penn State really had to do much to win this game. UCLA is just a bad team, but I really did think that Penn State had the potential to drop a 50-burger, at least 40 points. It's not that Penn State played bad. I just didn't expect them to only score 27. I expected them to drop a lot more on this piss-poor UCLA team, but Penn State rolls to a nonchalant victory. Remains undefeated. Texas A&M 41, Mizzou 10. This was one of my favorite games of the day, solely for the fact that, and as you know, I've been writing, Mizzou is overrated. Mizzou is not good. Mizzou. They just suck. And I was starting to get nervous that they were going to be the Ole Miss of last year, where every week I said, Ole Miss is overrated. This is the week they lose, and every fucking week they kept winning. I got nervous here. I'm not going to lie that Mizzou was going to do that to me this year. But it happened. They lost. I'm proven right yet again. Mizzou is overrated as fuck. I didn't think that Texas A&M would score that many points, so I'm a little salty because I did have the under in this game, and Mizzou absolutely fucked me on the under. Just deciding... They get down to the goal line. It's the end of the game. You're down 41-7, and Texas A&M is just stopping you try after try after try as you try to score a touchdown. And you get to 4th and goal, and you decide, fuck it, we're just going to take the 3 points and get out of here. You pussy. You absolute pussies. Go for the touchdown. Save yourself some respect. If you don't score, sure, it sucks. It looks bad. It also wins me my bet. But that's beside the point. What a pussy bitch-ass move to go for the field goal when you're down 30-plus points. You're not going to win, but save some respect. Score a touchdown. Don't just pussy out like that. I get there's going to be people who say, well, game's over. Why risk hurting your quarterback or hurting this player, hurting that player? Just kick the field goal, fine. Get the points, fine. I still think it's a bitch move. But Mizzou's overrated. I'm so glad they are not going to be this year's Ole Miss. I mean, I guess they technically still could make me look dumb and go undefeated the rest of the year, but I just doubt that is going to happen. Yeah, I just hate Mizzou this year. They're overrated, and I'm so glad they lost. SMU 34, Louisville 27. Quick little brag. I had like 4 bets on this game, nailed every single one. So no big deal. Now, none of them made my 5 faves, of course, because why would they? I would only pick my losing ones for the 5 faves. But SMU is good. That defense it's all right. It's not great. It's not terrible. It's average. But that offense with Kevin Jennings is real good. And I think Rhett Lashley is having a little bit of hindsight 2020, wishing he would have named Kevin Jennings the outright starter at the beginning of the season, because I think we would have SMU would have been ranked going into this game, I think, if he had just gone with Kevin Jennings the whole season. They're finally looking like the offense we thought they would be preseason. So good to see from SMU. Expect to see them ranked, I would say, this week. Wisconsin 52, Purdue 6. Purdue is so bad. So bad. They could not get anything going on offense. 1 for 11 on 3rd down. Barely 200 yards of offense. Just ugly. And Wisconsin's not that good. They're really not that good this year, and Purdue just got beat 52-6. I'm feeling more confident for that Minnesota-Wisconsin game later in the year. And I am so upset that Minnesota doesn't get to play Purdue this season. Because I'm glad at least we play UCLA, but playing Purdue would have been nice. Pitt 34, UNC 24. Maybe it was Pitt 31. I don't remember. I might have written the score down wrong. Regardless, Pitt wins. Mac Brown is retiring. It's not official. It hasn't been announced. Nothing like that, or at least as of right now. Who knows? It's still early. But he's done. There's no way he comes back next year. He'll probably finish out the season. Not going to just quit on the players mid-season, but I think he is going to retire at the end of the season. Also, Pitt deserves to be top 25 this week. If they're not, we riot because they are 5-0. This Pitt team is good. I said it at the beginning of the season. This is a team that just always seems to be underrated and always seems to win a good amount of games, and they are 5-0. I'm not saying that they're going to finish the season undefeated, but see them finish with 8 or 9 wins is not out of the possibility. Virginia 24, BC 14. I should probably start putting some respect on Virginia's name since they are now 4-1 and they did beat my beloved Boston College Eagles. But I'm going to be stubborn and I'm not going to do that. But I do want to say the fact that I know that I should be putting respect on their name, I think is pretty big of me. I'm not doing it, but I think the fact that I know that I should is good, and I think that's pretty big of me, and everybody should applaud me for that one. Moving on to the afternoon games, this is where shit started to get a little weird. This is where we had a big upset, and everybody was like, okay, sweet, weird Saturday. That was pretty cool. And then shit started to get weirder and weirder. Now, technically, Mizzou losing to Texas A&M was an upset because Mizzou was ranked like 8 or whatever, but they never should have been top 10 to begin with. Mizzou was overrated. They sucked. We're going to look back and see that ranking and be like, what the fuck were we thinking putting Mizzou that high? So in my mind, that's not an upset, even though technically it was. Just a score that I never thought I would see, a result I never thought I would see. Vandy 40, Bama 35. I never thought I would see the day when a Bama team, with all the success they've had over the last decade plus, would lose to Vanderbilt. Just absolutely insane. Vanderbilt had a game plan going into this game, and they executed it 1,000% perfectly. Props to Jerry Kill, former Minnesota head coach. When he stepped down from Minnesota, I was sad to see him go just because he was a good coach. But I obviously understood the reasons for him wanting to take a step away from football. But everywhere that man goes, he wins. And Diego Pavia, man, he is special. He is America's QB. He is America's quarterback. If you don't love Diego Pavia, you hate America, and I don't know what the fuck is wrong with you. You have some sort of issue. Vandy, though, that first drive of the game, 6+ minutes, drive it all the way down, score a touchdown. Okay, fine, scripted drive, whatever. It happens all the time. Bama gets the ball, throws an interception, turns out to be a pick six. Okay, fine, not great. We're down 14-0, whatever. I think Vandy might have, I don't remember if they went for 2 or missed an extra point. Something weird happened there. Bama gets the ball back, marches down, scores. So okay, well, technically I guess that's the rest of Bama's scripted drive. Whatever. It's Bama. They had a little fluky, first couple drives there. They're going to step on the gas and just boat race Vandy. Then Vandy gets the ball back and has a nearly 10-minute drive that ends in a touchdown. So we're talking first drive 6+ minutes, second drive nearly 10 minutes. That's a full quarter of football right there. Vandy had the ball. By the time Bama really started their technically third drive, because they threw that pick six in the first one, they were already in the second quarter. So going into the second quarter, or very early into the second quarter, Bama was down 20-7 and had to come from behind the rest of the game. Vandy had 42 minutes of time of possession. 42 minutes is a lot of fucking time with the ball. That is nearly 3/4 of the game. That's basically, you gave Vanderbilt the ball basically on offense, quarters 1, 2, and 3. Didn't let Alabama touch the ball. Just did that. Okay, Vandy, here's your score. Bama, you have 1 quarter to try and win this game. You have 1 quarter to try to score more than Vandy did. And They almost did, which is insane. The fact that Bama had 35 points with only 18 minutes of offense is just, that's pretty good. I don't know what was going on with that defense. Bama's defense was just in shambles trying to defend Pavia. He looked amazing. He had some throws that were just unbelievable. It was a fun game to watch. If you have not watched that game from yesterday, go back and watch it because Diego Pavia was amazing. Take away the final drive for Vandy because they weren't really trying to score. They were just trying to run out the clock. They came away with points on all but 2 drives. Bama's got to take a serious look in the mirror. They allowed Georgia to storm back last week. This week they allow Vandy to keep the ball for 42 fucking minutes and drop 40 points on you. Bama's got some real issues that they need to look at. Since that defense is porous as fuck. Bama's offense still good. That defense not so good. Like I said, Diego Pavia is America's quarterback. It's nice to see Jerry Kill have some success. What a fun game. I'm so happy for Vandy. It was a fun game to see. Georgia 31, Auburn 13. Never close. Never thought Auburn had a chance. I said it before the game, this could be close at halftime, because Georgia is a second half team, and it was close. 14-3, Georgia was leading at half, but again, never thought Georgia was going to lose. Just never had a chance. Auburn was just fucked from the beginning. But on the bright side, Auburn didn't turn the ball over, so that's a step in the right direction. You played a good team like Georgia, and you didn't turn the ball over. So making progress. That's good for them. Ohio State 35, Iowa 7. Again, a game that I just never thought Ohio State was going to lose. A sloppy first half, couple turnovers. Ohio State was only up 7-0 at half. But again, I never thought they were in danger of being upset. Like I said, a couple turnovers is what kept this closer in the first half. This probably would have been a bigger lead had they not done that. But Iowa could not get anything going at any point in the game. Running the ball, they weren't bad, but when you're down a few scores, you can't be running the ball all the time. You got to throw the ball. And McNamara was 14 of 20 for 98 yards and an interception. Just ugly game for Iowa. Ohio State didn't really do much, didn't have to do much. Again, Ohio State hasn't had to do much this whole season. I really think they've been saving a lot on offense for Oregon, which is scary to think about because that offense has looked pretty good, so far this season. And guys, Jeremiah Smith, if you have not heard of Jeremiah Smith or you have not seen him play, go look him up. You got 2 freshmen who are just absolutely dominating college football this year, true freshmen. Ryan Williams at Bama, who again had a big game this weekend. Shocker, 17-year-old again, in case you didn't know. And then you got Jeremiah Smith, again, a true freshman who is putting up insane numbers at Ohio State, where, Ohio State doesn't normally play their true freshmen at receiver. They might get in for a game here or there early in the season, garbage time, that sort of thing, special teams. But and Ohio State has a ton of great receivers every year. The fact that he is seeing this much playing time as a freshman, it just goes to show how good he is and how highly they think of him. Ole Miss 27, South Carolina 3. I mean, I knew South Carolina's offense would struggle against this defense, but I definitely thought South Carolina's defensive line would at least make Jackson Dart's life a little harder than it was yesterday, but I was wrong. This game was over by half. It was 24-3 at half. South Carolina never had a shot. Ole Miss just kind of coast to a victory. Nothing special there. Indiana 41, Northwestern 24. I told you Northwestern was not going to stop this mini wagon. There's just no way they were going to stop it. I was shocked that Northwestern was able to score 24 points. Does make you question a little bit of Indiana's defense, but again, this game never really felt like Northwestern was going to win it. 24 points, that's a lot for Northwestern to score. But Indiana's offense is too explosive for most of these teams in the Big Ten, and it's looking like, and this mini wagon keeps on rolling. Nebraska 14, Rutgers 7. I mean, Ethan Kaliakmanis, he turned back into the Ethan that all of us Gopher fans know and love. Now, I was always higher on him than everybody else was, but yeah, that did not look good for him. Very similar, showed very similar shades to last year. So this Rutgers defense, though, very good, which is not news. But this Nebraska defense is pretty good, guys. I think they might be sneaky good. Watch out if you have to play Nebraska. Just saying, they seem to have a pretty good defense this year. Now, 14-7, that's a low-scoring game. Dylan Raiola, for being a true freshman quarterback, he didn't play great yesterday. And he hasn't shown to be like blowing everybody away, but he has not played bad, especially as a true freshman. I think Nebraska has a pretty good quarterback there, and the next couple years could be kind of scary, which I hate to say because I don't like Nebraska. West Virginia 38, Oklahoma State 14. What the fuck? West Virginia had 31 at half, and then they just kind of coasted the rest of the game, which I don't blame them because they didn't have to do much. Oklahoma State is so dead. Preview for the dead list later. They're done. I thought this would be a high-scoring game, and I was half right. Oklahoma State's offense is so bad that they couldn't even score on West Virginia. Alan Bowman is bad. He got benched late in the game. Ollie Gordon is just pedestrian as fuck. I actually think he might have left the game at one point. But he just does not look good. That defense is absolute doo-doo. West Virginia ran all over this defense. They only threw the ball 16 times. They ran for nearly 400 yards for 6 yards per carry. Just ugly game for Oklahoma State. I don't think this is a season that Mike Gundy turns around. I think this is just a season that they are just dead, as I've been saying for the last couple weeks, and as we will talk about later when I bring up my dead list. Let's take a quick smoke break and then get into the evening games. Okay, we're getting into some of the really good games of the day. We're just going to start right off with the Minnesota Minute. Wow. Thank you, Minnesota, for allowing me to go full speed ahead on the USC is overrated train. Minnesota wins 24-17. USC sucks. I kind of been saying it all year. I was upset that they came back against Wisconsin, but I'm so glad they lost this game. Absolutely beautiful win. I did think the refs were going to absolutely fuck us out of a win yet again. Big Ten refs continue to just suck. Defense played good. Offense played good enough. Special teams didn't fuck up. What more can you ask for? And you forced turnovers. You forced 3 turnovers, yes, and one was a game-sealing interception. They were just heaving it towards the end zone. You still forced three turnovers. Great all-around win. I told you, USC. I told you the Gophers had all of the tools to win this game and to have an upset or to at least cover. And I said USC is susceptible against the run. If you can get the run game going, you can win this game. And Minnesota did. They ran it 40 times for nearly 200 yards. Darius Taylor was amazing. Believe it or not, no rushing touchdowns for him. Max Brosmer had all 3 rushing touchdowns. He also led the team in receiving, I believe. I think he had only 35 yards. Not a huge day for any of the Gopher receivers necessarily, but that's the beauty of Max Brosmer. He will throw it to everybody. Justin Wally, so good to have him back. He was amazing. Big Ten refs, they continue to be the worst. He had a great game. Big Ten refs, though. Fucked the Gophers last week, almost fucked them again this week, and then they call that brandishing a weapon penalty on Justin Wally. I hated the penalty. I hated it, and what I hated even more was I was also watching the Arkansas-Tennessee game, and I watched an Arkansas player do the exact same celebration that Justin Wally did, and no penalty. Now, maybe the refs didn't see it in that game, whatever. Big Ten refs continue to suck, but Justin Wally, what an amazing game. It feels good feels good to be right. It feels good to have an upset win. It feels good when your team wins. Future's looking up for Minnesota. They've been on the dead list, but they might be coming off. Look for them to fight, maybe have fought off death there. Clemson 29, Florida State 13. I mean, a little concerning. Florida State's defense has still been kind of good. Clemson had to kick 7 field goals, though. They made 5 of them, but the fact that they had to kick 7, I feel like you play this game over again and Clemson wins by a lot more. Now, granted, they still covered. They were 14.5-point favorites, won by 16, but a little concerning that they weren't able to finish all those drives. Clemson punted on the opening drive of each half, which is kind of funny because usually your scripted drives are your best drives. But no, they punted on the opening drive of each half, but scored on every other drive or attempted to score, missed field goals and whatnot. But 500 yards of offense for Clemson versus 250 for Florida State. Florida State never had a chance in this game. Even when they made it 13 to 22 or 21, whatever it was, it just never felt like Florida State was in this. Florida State is just still so dead. Boise State 62, Utah State 30. I don't usually talk about Group of 5 games, but Ashton Genty, guys, look him up. 13 carries, 186 yards, 3 touchdowns. That's 14 yards per carry. That's all I wanted to say on this game. Just, do you know how stupid those numbers are? The fact that he only had to run the ball 13 times and had that many yards. Usually players have to run the ball 20, 30 times and get beat the fuck up to run that much. He is special and he is fun to watch. He's right now the favorite for the Heisman. Arkansas 19, Tennessee 14. Arkansas games are so fucking weird. If you have not watched Arkansas this year, you are missing out. They are just always in close games. It feels like the teams that they play never quite want to win it, and it feels like Arkansas also just doesn't quite want to win it. It seems like both teams always seem to be shooting themselves in the foot, and you're always kind of curious who's going to end up winning this game. Arkansas could not stop fucking up on offense. A lot of bad throws, low throws that could have been bigger gains. There was that 4th down that they were short because Taylor Green threw the ball short. There was the one where they were down near the end zone and threw the ball low. Guy had to go down and get it. Had he caught it in stride, probably would have scored a touchdown. You are on the goal line and you have a false start, a very obvious false start, and you get backed up. You throw a beautiful ball right to your receiver and it goes right through his arms and not a touchdown. Just play after play after play of just shooting themselves in the foot. They could have won this game by a lot more. Tennessee is lucky they only lost by 5, but like I said, Arkansas just kept shooting themselves in the foot, just doing stupid play after stupid play after stupid play. They really should have won by a lot more. Tennessee's offense also was terrible. Could not get into a rhythm. I did have a friend who was attending the game, an Arkansas fan, and bitching about how the refs are fucking Arkansas, blah, blah, blah. No, Arkansas is fucking Arkansas. You watch that game over, Arkansas could not stop fucking up. But where they were not fucking up was on defense. That defensive line did a good job of getting after Nico. And the offense, they would do a good job at sustaining a drive. It's just they would get into the deep into Tennessee area, the Tennessee zone, and just could not capitalize. But they did a good job of keeping the ball away, and they did a good job getting after Nico. Nico did not look good throwing the ball. He looked like a freshman. It was not a good look for Nico, and we'll get into him a little bit more, but just an all-around ugly game for Tennessee. Arkansas pulls off the upsets. Just disappointing as hell. Washington, 27, Michigan 17. Michigan is in shambles. They cannot figure out the passing game, and it's gotten so bad. They just used their 3rd QB of the season, looking for some spark in the passing game. And Jack Tuttle didn't look great, but he looked better than what they've been. I just don't think they have the receivers. I mean, I know the quarterbacks haven't been great, but when your quarterback is average, you need good receivers, and I just don't think they have good receivers. This is a big win for Washington at home, especially for a team that's joining the Big Ten and wants to make that statement win. This is how you do it. Good for Washington. They've proven to be better than I originally thought. I thought they would struggle coming to the Big Ten, and it hasn't looked great through the first couple games, but beating Michigan is a step in the right direction. Florida 24, UCF 13. Billy Napier survives another week, which is good for Tennessee. I really think if he had been fired this week, if they had lost, Florida was going to come out next week and just fuck Tennessee up. Florida's defense stepped up and made it difficult for KJ Jefferson, and Florida was in control of this game real quick and in control from start to finish. It was interesting to see. Maybe Billy Napier doesn't want to get fired. Maybe I was wrong on that. There's a couple late night games that we definitely need to get into. This one I'm going to have to go back and watch because when I went to bed, by the way, I'm on Eastern time zone, so it was nearly 2 o'clock in the morning when I went to bed. Miami was losing to Cal 38-18, and Miami comes back and wins 39-38. Now, Miami may have gotten bailed out by the refs another time. Miami's lucky. Let's just put it that way. They had a targeting penalty that ended up getting called back for not targeting very late in the game, and it probably should have been targeting, but instead it wasn't. And Cal had to punt away the ball, and Miami comes away with the win. Yikes. But Miami scored on their final 4 drives, not including the kneel-down drive at the end, which, again, when I went to bed, Cal was up 38-18. I went to bed right after their first of those 4 scoring drives. They scored on their next 3 after that. I may need to, similar to Virginia, but I might actually cave on this one. I may need to start putting some respect on Miami and Cristobal's name now. They've gotten a little lucky. That's why I'm not quite there yet, but I'm going to start being a little more respectable towards Miami. Just lucky to come away with the win, though. The refs did kind of bail you out there. I told you this could be a slip-up game for Miami. I did. I said it, and it almost was. And for pretty much the whole game, it looked like it was going to be. Cal was not able to run the ball and was not able to convert on third downs, and that's what really fucked them. Because when you have a lead, you kind of need to be able to run the ball to kind of break down that clock and close out the win, but they couldn't run the ball for shit. Couldn't convert on third down. Just absolutely fucked them. Congrats to Miami's defense for finally stepping up in that second half. And congrats to Cam Ward as cementing himself as one of the top finalists for the Heisman as of right now. I feel like it is a solid top 3 and then a drop off after that. You could argue Quinn Ewers, he's just been hurt. And then Texas Tech and Arizona. Texas Tech pulls off the win 28-22. Arizona's overrated as fuck. I feel like I've been saying that all season. Take away McMillan and Fafita is just at quarterback. He threw for 301 yards, but he took nearly 50 attempts to get there. And he threw no touchdowns, 2 interceptions, and McMillan had over half of his yards. You take away McMillan and Fafita is just nothing. If McMillan decides to transfer or gets injured or anything, that offense and Fafita are just absolutely cooked. I think McMillan might be... I think he's what makes Fafita good. Fafita doesn't make McMillan better, necessarily. Arizona, they absolutely killed the time of possession, and they still lost. They just couldn't finish drives. They had to settle for 6 field goals, and they only made 5. Not that the 6th would have necessarily won the game for them, but that's not a winning formula. They gave Texas Tech a few short fields from turnovers and just turning it over on downs. You just can't win the game when you give Texas Tech short fields. You have to settle for so many field goals. It's just, you can't win that way. And Arizona's overrated. Fafita's overrated. McMillan's pretty fucking good. All right. A wild Saturday. Just absolutely insane. There is a solid now, when we look at the top 25, there is a solid 3 at the top and then a little bit of a drop off. I've decided to start putting a little more respect on undefeated teams' names. Now, that being said, I did leave one undefeated team out of the top 25. I have them just on the outside looking in. If they win their next game, or I don't even know if they play next week. We'll get into it in a second. But I have Texas, Ohio State, Oregon as the top 3. I feel like you could argue Penn State or Miami to be 3, I guess, but I feel like they're going to put Oregon at 3, make that Ohio State game a little more intriguing, 2 versus 3. Texas was number 2 last week. Ohio State was number 3. Oregon was 6, bumping up to 3. I got Penn State at 4. They were 7 last week. Miami at 5. They were 8 last week. Those are all they're not the only undefeated teams. Don't come at me, but of the top teams, they are the undefeateds. I got Georgia actually dropping a spot to 6 just because they do have a loss. Miami is undefeated. Miami's just going to get the edge over them. Bama dropping all the way to 7 from number 1. Tennessee dropping all the way to 8 from number 4. Now, if you want to argue Ole Miss should be ahead of them, fine. I won't necessarily argue that, but I do have Ole Miss at 9. They moved up from 12. I have LSU and Notre Dame both jumping up to 10 and 11, respectively. It hurts me to put Notre Dame there, but they do only have the 1 loss. Clemson, I could argue Clemson should be ahead of Notre Dame and LSU, but I'd put them at 12, bumping up to 15. Now, here's where some people might get upset. Iowa State at 13. They're undefeated. Maybe they should be ahead of some of these 1-loss teams, but I do have Iowa State at 13. BYU, another undefeated. I have them at 14, just behind Iowa State. I have Michigan and USC both dropping to 15 and 16 respectively. Mizzou dropping all the way to 17. That might be a little bit me being biased towards Mizzou being so overrated and dropping them that low, but Mizzou at number 17. Utah, I have them just staying at 18. I didn't really punish Utah, Oklahoma, or Kansas State for not playing this week, so I just left them as is, 18, 19, and 20. Boise State I kept at 21 because I guess I could have bumped them all up above these guys and dropped them all 1, but I'm not going to punish them for not playing. Indiana, I have them bumping up to 22. Again, I didn't want to punish Illinois for not playing, but I did bump them up to 23, even though maybe you could argue they should be out. I have Pitt finally getting ranked at 24. I have Navy at 25, and then I have Army just missing out at 26. I have them as the first team looking into the top 25. Couple others receiving votes: SMU, Nebraska, Kentucky, Colorado, Texas A&M. I guess you could give them some argument for the top 25. But Army's undefeated. I felt bad leaving them out. I just feel like there's too many teams towards the bottom of the top 25 that didn't play this week, and it's hard to punish them just because they were on a bye. The dead list. A couple of updates here. Kansas is still dead. They lost this weekend. Virginia Tech is still dead at 3-3, even though they won. Auburn's still dead, 2-4. Minnesota, though, they're on a live watch. They are a lot less dead this week. They are 3-3 on the season. They could very well be a lot less dead moving forward. Oklahoma, they're 4-1. They're on dead watch at this point. They are less dead. They are now on dead watch. We'll see how they fare against Texas. Oklahoma State still very dead, 3-3. North Carolina State, they're dead. And I feel bad saying those words because if you didn't see the game, Grayson McCall got absolutely destroyed, had to be carted off the field. I think he's done. I don't think he's playing football ever again. I think we've seen the last of him. It sucks. It's sad. He was great at Coastal, hasn't been great at North Carolina State, and for it to potentially end this way is just very sad to see. Florida State has been just so dead at 1-5. North Carolina, they're dead. Baylor's dead, lost to Iowa State. Arizona's on dead watch. They're on dead watch. And this one's a little bit of a stretch, but Michigan's on dead watch. You beat USC, you lose to Texas, you beat USC, but barely. You barely beat Minnesota, and then you lose to Washington. Michigan's on dead watch. Arizona and Michigan right now are the only two, the ones that I'm going to officially add as dead watch. There's a couple other teams, though, I've got my eye on. If they don't have a good next game, they might be getting added to this dead list. But I think so far, all the teams that I declared dead right away, a lot of them are still looking pretty dead. Let's see. Okay. Positive attitude, winning mindset. We're going to get better. I know I keep saying it, but we're going to get better. I was 2-3 this weekend. Now, betting as a whole, I was 13-9. I had a great weekend. I've actually had a great week in the last 3, but the 5 faves are just fucking me. 13-18 overall. I'm down 7.3 units. Again, positive attitude, winning mindset. We will get back. We will see that get better. Ohio State and Clemson, easy wins, never in doubt. Boston College, Thomas Castellanos just absolutely fucked me. Tennessee shit the bed. Iowa State went off on Baylor's defense, just didn't see that coming. But positive attitude, winning mindset, we will turn this around. I don't know if I'm going to beat my buddy, though, because he went 4-0 this week. He had Florida money line, SMU money line, Texas Tech money line, and Minnesota to cover. He is 10-6 on the season, up 7.6 units, hitting at a 70% rate. I'm probably not going to beat him, but positive attitude, winning mindset, I will turn it around. Down 7 units is ugly as fuck. All right, time for my final but favorite segment. Dude, are you high? But first, let's take a quick smoke break. Dude, are you high? Nico Iamaleava. It is 4th and 5. 6 seconds left in the game. You're down 5 points. You're pretty deep in Arkansas territory. I don't think you're quite in the red zone. Deep enough, though, you can make a decent throw to the end zone. Again, 6 seconds left. Drop back, a little bit of pressure, get forced out of the pocket. You kind of roll out, and then you kind of run for the first down and then just step out of bounds. And there's no time remaining on the clock. 4th and 5. You didn't even try to throw the ball to the end zone. Didn't even try to give your receivers a chance. They showed the replay, from his view, and there was a couple of receivers that were way off to his left, and he was rolling to the right. So there's only 2 receivers to actually throw to. There was a lot of defenders. They were both covered. But you didn't even give them a shot. You didn't even just lob it up there, hope for a prayer, throw a Hail Mary, nothing. You just ran it out of bounds. What the fuck was that, dude? Dude, Nico Iamaleava, are you high? Thank y'all for joining me. What a great weekend of college football. This sport is the best. We are so lucky to have college football in our lives. I'm looking forward to next week. I'll be back later this week to preview week 7.